Hello and welcome to a massive show for the series finale of Connected. On this edition, a new book release that is an incredible true story set in Italy and Africa during World War II. Our Connected cameras caught up with the stars of the multi-million-dollar production of My Fair Lady, directed by film icon Julie Andrews, while our roving reporter Hinksy tries to become his own triple threat. Will he succeed?
No.
The jury's in. It's time to keep it local and get connected. And welcome to the program. Well, my first guest has an incredible personal story to tell. Goodbye to Italia is a factual account of her parents growing up in war-torn Italy in 1940. Marisa Parker has taken family photos and pieced together an amazing tale from diaries that saw her family endure love, bombings, hunger and disease, all while falling in love and coming of age. And I'm pleased to say that the author of Goodbye to Italia, Marisa Parker, joins us now. How are you, Marisa?
Thank you. I'm well. Thanks, Daniel.
This is an incredibly personal story. I mean, what inspired you to write it?
Well, my mum came to visit with my husband and I in 2012, and she was reminiscing about growing up, and I was just thinking, I've heard about this story going back, but it just really started to touch me. And then she started to talk about my father's experiences as well, and he'd not spoken about them much, and 13 years separates them. And when I went to visit her for her 80th birthday, she then gave to me my father's diaries, which he had actually kept during his captivity as a prisoner of war. And I had hoped that the book was almost done then, and I realized a whole other section came out, and I thought, no, I really do have to put the story together and put it out there, because it's an incredible experiences that they've both gone through.
Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you went to that 80th birthday, you had actually done the draft of the book, hadn't you?
I had, yes, and I was hoping to present it to my mum, get a pat on the back and say, this is really good. But I realised by reading through those diaries that there was just so much more to the story. And actually, my father was quite a lot older when I was born, and the diaries were just an emotional revelation of the man that my mother fell in love with. But importantly, that he went through such trials and tribulations, and of course he survived the war because he was a prisoner of war, but for him as an Italian man, it was his duty to protect his family, and yet here he was stuck in a prisoner of war camp. Sonderwater, the largest Southern Hemisphere Commonwealth prisoner of war camp. Not many people know that.
Yeah. When you were taking that first draft to your mum, were you nervous about her reaction?
Yes, very much so. And I have two sisters, a younger and an older sister, and we had gotten all together to celebrate her 80th birthday. My father unfortunately died many years ago, but I really wanted to find out, because it is a very personal story, find out what she thought. And then she said, oh, but you know, there's this whole other side to it. And at first there was this, oh my gosh, you know, this is, what am I going to do? But actually it was really important to enrich those characters and make it a really full story, and understand the tensions and what they had actually gone through. I mean, my mum was a young girl growing up in northern Italy, but my father was going through, you know, dreadful killing people, and he was avoiding getting killed himself, and war is dreadful whichever side you're on.
Exactly. There's no winners, really, is there?
No, there's no winners.
Yeah.
And yet these diaries showed me his character that I'd never seen, a real kind of larrikin, as they say in Australian terms, but someone who really was someone I'd never found. It was a real revelation.
When you put this powerful story along with the incredible photos that are in this book, it really brings it to a whole new level, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Those photos are gorgeous. I love old photos, and I just my mother's a bit of a stunner, I have to say.
Well, I'm just looking at the one of her on the beach in the boat here,
Yes.
you know, and I'm just going, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, no, just lovely, and no wonder she had a few guys going, you know, quite keen on her, but her heart belonged to my dad already, so yeah.
Of course, I guess it would have been a long process putting it together, but how did you go about selecting what to sort of like leave in with the book and to take out?
So with my father's diaries, his diaries actually started in the World War, so I had to get the links together as it started, and the book, first half of the book is actually alternating chapters with my mom as a young girl and my father as a 17-year-old boy wanting to get into the army. But I think with his diaries, I had to be careful of what I included and what I didn't include, because it is my mother's story after all, and some of them are very personal to her. And for my father as well, there were some dark times during the prisoner of war camp. That I haven't included everything. There were some soldiers that were committing suicide, and at the end he was questioning everything that he'd been taught. He'd been brought up as a fascist, you know, just living in those times, and then by the end of the war, all these horrifying stories came out, and he was questioning his whole upbringing, because he realized, oh my gosh, these horrible things have been happening, and so I had to be conscious of being true to the story, but also be conscious that my mother is the one that this will have to ultimately, she'll have to give the take of.
Yes, yeah. What do you hope readers, I mean, it's obviously the personal story you wanted to tell, the celebration of your mother and father's love and life, but what do you hope readers take away?
I hope that readers take away that in war times, we are on different sides. They were on different sides, but it's really important to understand that my father, like many Italians, were trying to protect their family. And here in Australia and New Zealand, which is lovely, we celebrate and commemorate that war is finished, and that we must remember. And it's about understanding that they were on different sides, but war is wrong, and that we really just need to appreciate that there are differences, and how to understand those differences, appreciate different cultures, and go forward from that. They were just on different sides.
It's a very powerful and emotive story. I guess there was many times you were crying when you were writing this.
I was. Gosh, and the diaries were in Italian.
Right.
So I had a lot of conversations with my mom, get my Italian back up to speed as well. But it was really just this writing. I did not realize that my father was such a romantic, and of course the book is written, I'm a bit of a romantic, so there is a bit of romanticism through the book, but ultimately it is about their love story, but it's also about those experiences that he went through that just astounded me.
Well, it's a glorious read. Thank you so much for joining us to talk about it on the program.
Thank you very much.
And you can purchase Goodbye to Italia and find out more information on Marisa by visiting her website, marisaparkerauthor.com. Still to come, Hinksy goes back to school to learn how to sing and dance, and the stars of the Opera Australia mega musical, My Fair Lady, join us next. That's on Connected. And welcome back to Connected. Well, for 60 years, the Lerner and Lowe musical My Fair Lady has thrilled audiences across the globe. A new Australian presentation of the original Broadway production, which opened in 1956 starring Rex Harrison and Julie Andrews, is about to come to Queensland in 2017. This time, the musical has been directed by Julie Andrews in Sydney and stars our next guests, and they join us online. Charles Edward, who's playing Henry Higgins, and the young star Anna O'Byrne as Eliza Doolittle. Welcome to the program, folks.
Thank you very much.
Well, first of all, I've got to ask, what was it like being directed by the well-famed Julie Andrews?
Oh, it was amazing. She's everything that you think she's going to be, and more. She's very giving and honest and generous, and her knowledge of the piece is encyclopedic. So it was brilliant to work with her.
And
It's very,
oh, sorry,
it's very,
yeah, go on.
it's very touching actually. The fact that she's at the helm of it. There's something. The fact that she did it all those years ago is very emotive for me anyway. I find it very touching.
Mm.
Of course, Anna, it must have been a bit daunting as well because, I mean, she was doing the role, you know, all those years ago that you're now taking on.
Yeah, absolutely. I've grown up with Julie Andrews, so you know, every day I was sort of pinching myself. It was you know, walking into the audition room for the first time was daunting, but she, being a performer herself, she's very concerned with making people feel relaxed so that they can do their best work. So I felt like that from day one.
Now, Charles, playing Henry Higgins, it's a very well-known role for those that have seen the musical before or the movie version. Are we going to get a bit of your own twist on the character?
Well, I think the first question people usually ask is, can you sing? And my answer is always, well, that role is not traditionally known for its singing prowess, which is a blessing, I would say, perhaps. But Rex Harrison obviously made a very, very definitive impression with his Higgins. In terms of, well, obviously I will bring my own, whatever it is I've been hired for, to it. But I think probably the childishness of Higgins might be played up a little bit more, because I think that's quite a key to him. And the fact that he's such a mother's boy, and I think the household that he lives in is basically run by Mrs. Pierce, who's the housekeeper. And I think that he's a cosseted outsider, but prone to tantrums, and that would be my take.
I think the thing that people do talk about with My Fair Lady, it's a show about mothers and sons and fathers and daughters.
Very much so.
So it's a show about those kind of family relationships, and that's something that we've really, you know, enjoyed in doing the piece so far, and something that I've never sort of experienced when I've seen quite so strongly when I've seen My Fair Lady, or, you know, thought about it prior to this.
Yeah.
Of course, the other thing too is you're talking about these other characters involved in the musical. You have a superb supporting cast, the likes of Reg Livermore and also Robin Nevin in the cast.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
We were just talking about this. It's a bit ridiculous that Robin comes out at the hour mark of the show, and she often gets a little round of applause when she goes.
Yeah, she sure does.
We're just seeing some vision from the show down south, and I mean the costuming alone, the settings and that, it just looks like such a multi-million-dollar musical production.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of lots of people have commented that they can't sort of believe that these designs are 60 years old. But I mean, Cecil Beaton, it's divine.
Yeah.
We get a lot of gasps and round of applause for Ascot and for the ball, and yeah, it's a stunning production.
It is. It's glorious.
Yeah, it must be also fun dressing up in some of these period costumes every night too.
Yeah, definitely. They're a little heavy, some of them, and there's a lot of sort of corsetry and inner structural work going on. But it is, you feel you know, it's very little acting required when you've got costumes.
It's true. Once you get into the costume, it does a lot of work for you.
Yes.
You have to hold yourself in a certain way, and it informs the character enormously, I think.
Well, of course, there is some wonderful music attached to this show as well. Do you have a favourite song in the show, Anna?
It changes all the time. My favourite music in the show is the Embassy Ball Waltz. That is just always such a, and in terms of the staging, the sort of chandeliers come down and the stage revolves, and it's just a really glorious moment. But I love that music. But my favourite song changes that every day.
Yeah, and what about for you, Charles?
I think probably Ordinary Man is the one I like best, because it sums up Higgins to a T. And the other treat about this show is that the book, the book of course is Bernard Shaw, and I was amazed when we started working on it how much of Shaw is actually in the show.
Huge swathes of dialogue.
And that's something that Julie's often talking about, is that to go back to Shaw, and she's always at great pains to remind everybody that it is because of Shaw that the show exists. But the words of the songs are so, it's as if Shaw could have written them, I think. It's because they're so, particularly I noticed with Higgins, his style of speech is very much translated into the musical numbers, so it's pretty seamless.
That Ordinary Man, I spoke to Julie about this actually, because I said, how long did they actually spend writing these, particularly Ordinary Man? The lyrics are so detailed and they're so sort of a mess of contradictions and hilarious and very illuminating about Higgins. And I said, like, how long did they actually spend writing these songs? And she said they would have the initial kind of germ of an idea, and then Lerner would just go and lock himself away for weeks on end. And it's sort of reassuring that such genius takes time to develop in that way.
And there's one song, I've grown accustomed to her face, which is at the end of the show. And that is taken from a line, an actual line of Shaw's. I think I can't remember what the exact line is, but he says, I think probably I've grown accustomed to her face or something like that. And I love the fact that they are so true to Shaw that the flavour of Shaw spreads throughout the music and the lyrics.
Well, we're certainly going to be leaving the theatre humming those songs, and we thank you very much for joining us on Connected today to give us a sneak preview of this wonderful music, My Fair Lady.
Pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. And, of course, My Fair Lady will open at the Lyric Theatre QPAC on March 12, 2017 for a strictly limited season. For more information, visit qpac.com.au. We are keeping it local. There's much more to come on Connected after this break. And welcome back to the series finale of Connected. Well, you only have to switch on the TV to be inspired by people living the dream or reaching for their goals. Now, anyone will tell you that the only way to keep the dream alive is hard work, determination, and the passion to go for it no matter what. Now, there comes a time when many of us wonder if a career change could be the answer to happiness. It's a question that has been playing on the mind of our intrepid roving reporter, Greg Hinks, for some time now. So after a few negative incidents recently, he decided to follow his dream of being a triple threat performer.
Whoa, we're halfway there. Whoa, living on a prayer. Are you right? It sounds like someone's in pain in here. No? What are you doing? You have absolutely no rhythm to you. You need to get some serious help. Help?
Danielle, I've had to come in here into the studio. People have been laughing at me and making fun of my singing and my dancing. What can you do to help?
We can help you, but it all depends on what you're exactly after. We do it all here.
Because you guys have been here for a while, haven't you?
Yeah, so this is our 10th year this year. So,
wow, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So we started in Greenbank, which was fantastic, just in a community centre, and then we came over here to Springfield 4 years ago. So we've grown to 280 students. So I'm sure we can look after you.
And you do something like 500 classes in a week.
Huge amount of classes.
That's a lot of classes for me to attend. So Dylan, I got to sit here and sing with you. Look, you know, you're pretty talented. What sort of other classes do you do?
Ballet, hip hop, jazz, tumbling, and music and drama.
And what do you like most?
Ballet and music and drama.
Yeah, and you want to do that when you get older?
Yeah.
So what sort of ballerina do you want to be?
Boy one.
A boy one, that's a good one. High five for that. Now, what sort of classes can I do here?
So we actually do also run adult classes. So we do have tap and jazz and contemporary dance for adults as well.
But these people already have been doing it a while, so
No.
I probably need to start with maybe some of the younger ones.
Sure. Well, probably even the babies may show you up a little bit.
Right.
You know, they start at 2 though, so maybe you might be okay with some of the little ones.
All right.
But they start with ballet and jazz and tap and hip hop. They do singing and drama and acrobatics, and then we go to all the circus things like aerial circus, so up in the air.
So you can virtually come here to Springfield and do everything at the studio?
Everything. And that was the aim of the game when we came over. There's 15 staff here, so from singing teachers through to aerial teachers. We've got tap master Chris Jordan, we've got contemporary choreographer Gareth Belling from Brisbane, and who used to dance in Queensland Ballet. He comes out to here once a week and takes ballet classes for us, so fantastic.
Look, Sarah, you've been here from the start here at the studio. What sort of stuff have you learnt?
Well, I do a lot of classes, dancing and singing, and not drama this year, but I have done drama as well and musical theatre.
So this is the aerial lyra behind us. This is just one of the classes you can do here. What sort of confidence boost has it been coming to the studio?
You learn to mentally prepare yourself for auditions, and you learn the discipline of being in an art form.
And it's fun too, isn't it?
It is, it's really fun.
Because everything that we've seen today, like, singing and dancing and the classes that I've been taking part in, everyone seems to be having fun and a good time. Is that the crux of being here at the studio and doing the performing arts?
To me, the studio is more like a family rather than a workplace as such,
And what future do you see for yourself in the performing arts after, working here? Because you're still a student after almost 10 years.
I'd hope to be in musical theatre. That's my passion. It's where my passion sits at the moment.
You've got classes for kids. You say you've got classes for adults. How old do you go?
We do have a couple of grandmas.
Yeah?
Yeah. Our tap class is an excellent class, and they actually sort of may meet at the tavern before they come up. So they're a good bunch of ladies. They do. They have their own little social page, and they go to the tavern sometimes for dinner first, and then come up and take their tap class.
It's important to get that nourishment before you come and perform.
That's it.
So, virtually you can do anything here, and it's for everyone. Anyone who wants to learn how to perform at any skill level.
That's exactly it. And we do have a huge intake of actual high school students. So when they get to year 7 and 8, maybe they haven't danced or they've just done dance at school, and they decide that they want to take dance as a subject. And so the teachers sort of say to them, maybe you need to get outside dance, and they come to here. And we're all school teachers, so I think it does help those teenagers that are new to dance or even to drama to really be in that environment where we're going to look after them, look after their headspace, because it can be a little bit daunting when you're a bit older.
Well, especially because, public speaking is one of the things that scare people most. So coming to a place like the studio is probably perfect to help get that confidence so you can get up in front of people.
That's exactly it. That's right. And I mean, for myself, I remember, dance was the place to escape. When you've got so much drama going on and so much stress, to be able to walk into a ballet class 6 hours a week and just worry about yourself, it's actually a utopia, really. So
if you've seen me dance, most people want to escape when I'm around. So what can you help me with? What can we do?
Sure. Well, we can go and pop into. How about we take you into a singing class, into musical theatre?
Right.
Maybe get you to practice those vocal cords.
Yay! Let's give it a go. All right.
All right. Let's go.
Right. I have to ask. How did I go?
Pretty good.
I think that's all right.
That's a very diplomatic young boy there. Good luck to all those students, including Hinksy, working hard to reach their goals. And if you think performing arts is truly your holy grail, you can get all the information you need by visiting the studiospringfield.com.au, and hopefully Hinksy's studies won't impair the other students too much. Believe it or not, that wraps up yet another season of Connected. I've got to thank all of the wonderful crews, producers, directors and guests that have made it all so possible. You can also keep up to date over the break with special web-only stories and let us know what you would like to see next season as well. You can visit our website connectedtv.com.au and interact with the show on our Facebook page. Until next time though, stay connected. We'll leave you with the series highlights of Series 5 of Connected. Bye for now.